Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, Rakesh.
How are you, sir?
Not very well, Rakesh, but we don't have time. So that's why I've decided to go ahead with
Yes,
the
sir.
class. I'm not
You
well
can
at
continue,
all.
sir.
Yeah, but this is not a very difficult topic, so I can go ahead with it faster.
Yes, sir.
Do we have to wait for people to join?
Yes, sir. Prashant will is coming, sir.
Okay. Yeah, as you said it, he has come.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, Prashant. Thank you for coming.
Actually, we should thank you, sir. Even though you are not feeling well, you are taking a class for us.
No, no, no. I have to finish the syllabus now. So I don't want to leave you hanging without doing what I'm doing. Can we also have a class tomorrow, please? So that
Sure, sir.
at what time would you like to have the class tomorrow?
The same time,
Mm.
sir.
Actually, in schedule, EPP students are having class at 1:30, sir. I mean, 1 o'clock to 1:30, they have public art class.
From 1 to 1:30.
They have public art class.
So will they come at 2?
Yes, sir. But we are all HEP, sir. I mean, now whoever is attending political thought class is whole HEP, sir.
Hmm. No EPP people are coming, is it?
From few days, no EPP, sir.
So then what time shall we have the class? Anyway, they can go to YouTube to check it if they want. It's
Then
there
we'll
on
have
YouTube.
class at 1 o'clock, sir.
1 o'clock?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Is that okay, Rakesh?
Yes,
R- Rakesh, 1 o'clock okay with you?
yes, sir. I'm okay, sir.
Yeah, because it's not like, I mean, people can go and check the lecture on YouTube. It's going to be there. So it's not really a problem. Okay. Last time we had finished of Aquinas. Please don't pronounce his name like the Americans do. They call him Aquinas. He's not Aquinas. He's actually Aquinas. Anyway, I told you that he was only partially successful in his goal of converting, or rather, in he was only partially successful in convincing people that rationality is needed, but then because he takes recourse to subterfuge and once again talks about divine law and revelation, people were not happy with him, right? And that led to discontent even among Christian thinkers, because Christian thinkers were constantly worried by the fact, by people, about why they should not use their rationality. So you find that these people are called Franciscan friars. Friars are brothers, it's a brotherhood kind of a thing. And they are Franciscans because they were followers of St. Francis. And these Franciscan friars, I have mentioned two of them, these are the important ones: Marsilius of Padua and William of Ockham. I also told you that uh, the OCKAM spelling is actually a later invention. Ockham, they had to invent this because In Italian, it will become o cham. CC is cha. So for that, they invented this. So you see, um, first of all, before we, this class is about the church state controversy as it has been um, called in your syllabus. Okay, but there is a necessity for a prefatory, what should I say, a prefatory lecture to that, what is called center state, church state controversy, but it should actually be called sacerdotium imperium controversy. I will come to that. So before we come to that, we have to first go through certain Christian beliefs. Okay, and these beliefs were imposed upon people, and because of the imposition of these beliefs on people, uh, you would find that the disenchantment was growing despite attempts by people like Aquinas. So, first, let us see what kind of a world order, not a particular country's order or anything. Christianity built a world order. In fact, you can say it tried to build an order of the universe, right? So, let's start with the system of beliefs that were held by the Christian thinkers, and these beliefs were spread to the people. Okay, what the Christians believed is that what we live in is a universe. Universe is one verse, VERSE. In poetry, you have verses, right? If any of you remember your lessons from English in school, if you have done your uh, if you've done poems written by various poets, you say they're all written in a verse form, which means they are actually meted out. They are not actually in the 20th century. We saw the birth of what is called free verse. Free verse is that it is not written to a meter. Otherwise, it is supposed to be written to a meter like an iambic pentameter or some. I don't want to go into all that now. Okay, so they said that this universe is one verse. And even if you take music, in music also you have two parts. The first part is the verse, and the second part is called the chorus. Okay, so the verse is the more important thing. And the Christians believed that there is only one verse, and that is why it is the universe. And this is, by the way, the basis of the term university. A university is a Christian institution where you study Christian books. You try to become a scholar, scholastic. All these again are Christian words. Okay, and universe is one verse, and it is not a multiverse. It's not many things. It's just one thing. Now, when you say that it is a universe, the next thing that the Christians claimed is that this universe is a cosmos and not a chaos. So let's try to understand these two. Let's first try to understand the word chaos. We have a tendency to think that which is chaos is unorganized, so it's all confusion, It is something that does not have any proper, what should I say? It does not have any organization, okay, and things happening arbitrarily. That is called a chaos in our everyday parlance. Some people also say chaos and anarchy, ANARCHY. Okay. Now, please remember that technically both these words don't mean lack of organization. They do not mean confusion, both anarchy and chaos. They do not mean confusion. They do not mean uh, lack of organization. They do not believe that, uh, this is all just nonsense. It's not that. The technical meaning of anarchy is not having any power structure in society. An arch is a power structure. Okay, it represents a power structure in the good old days of the ancient period. So if you believe in anarchy, then you're saying that there is no arch. And because of the lack of the arch, it becomes an anarchy, which means that there are no power structures. But that does not mean society is not organized. In fact, if you take the anarchist Peter Kropotkin, he says there is organization in nature. Okay, he says there is communication between among species and between one species, members of one species. Okay, and he says nature is orderly. There is no lack of order in nature. Okay, so what the anarchists wanted was that they wanted to get rid of the state system. We'll come to that later when we talk about Rousseau. They wanted to get rid of the state system and they wanted to replace that with a natural social order. That is anarchy. It's not disorganization, not lack of orderliness. What it means is that there is going to be order, which is a social order, which is like the natural order. And you don't have to have power structures to implement this order. That is what the anarchists like Peter Kropotkin, Bakunin, all of these people believed in. Okay, so that there is an anarchist school of thought. Don't forget that. It doesn't mean confusion, chaos, disorder. No. Same thing, chaos again. Chaos doesn't mean lack of order. Chaos doesn't mean uh, things are happening arbitrarily. Not arbitrary, that's not a correct word. I'm sorry. It doesn't mean that uh, things are confusing. It isn't all that. Okay. What chaos symbolizes is a simple thing in its technical sense, in its social scientific sense. The word chaos basically means that there is no predetermined purpose. Okay, there is no predetermined purpose behind any occurrence in this world. Okay, chaos will not subscribe to the idea of a universe. It will talk about a multiverse. It will talk about a multiverse, and it will basically say that there is no predetermined reason. Everything that happens accidentally. Why are you people my students this year? It's an accident. At this particular time, I have been in the college. You have been in the same college, and since this paper is supposed to be my specialization, the principal has asked me to teach this to you people. So I said, okay, I will teach that. So you'll say that this is just an accident. You were posted here. I could have been posted elsewhere in Osmania University. Okay. And you became my students simply by accident. There's no predetermined uh, purpose behind that. There is absolutely nothing predetermined. Just an accident. It could have been, instead of me, it could have been someone else. It could have been Rajesh, or it could have been even someone else. It could have been anyone. That's what a chaos means, which means that there is no predetermined purpose. Accident doesn't mean there are kind of, things that we have in mind, which is uh, where people uh, are injured, people die in accidents, not that kind of an accident. Uh, that is also called an accident because it was not supposed to happen, it just happened. So, similarly, everything that happens in a chaos is not one verse, it's multiverse, many verses, and these are all sometimes coming into contact with each other accidentally without any predetermined purpose. That is one of the ways of looking at the world as a multiverse, which is a chaos. It is a philosophical system, mind you. Chaos is not a nonsense thing, it's a philosophical system. But if you subscribe to the idea of a universe, then you also subscribe to the idea of a cosmos. Okay? Anything that is in the nature of a cosmos will basically tell you that nothing happens in this world accidentally. There is a predetermined purpose behind every occurrence that happens in this world. That's what a cosmos is. So, you might not know the reason, I might not know the reason, but there is a predetermined reason why I am teaching you this year. I could have taught you last year. I didn't teach you last year, but I taught you this year. Okay, or I'm teaching you this semester. So there is a reason behind that. It's a predetermined reason. Just because you and I are not aware of it, it does not mean that it is there is no predetermined reason. Okay, one example in school, that one of the biggest influences on my life was Brother Brito, who was the principal of my school. And Brother Brito was an extremely kind man. He was a very good Christian. And he used to explain a lot of things to us. So when we asked him the meaning of cosmos, he said, try to understand it this way. How many neighbors do you have? I said, I have many. So he said, how many houses of your neighbors have you gone into? So I said, I have gone into none. None of my neighbors' houses have been inside. Then he said, don't you have any friends? I said, no, I have lots of friends. So do you go to their houses? I said, yes. So then why didn't you go into your neighbors' houses? I said, there were no friends of mine in my neighbors' houses. So he said, where were your neighbors? I said, they were a short distance away. So you went some distance and you went and met somebody who is a friend. You've been into their house, but your immediate neighbor, you've never been into their house. Why? Because you didn't have a friend there. He said, this is not arbitrary. This is not arbitrary. This is predetermined. That you make friends with some people and that you do not make friends with other people. He also said, some people you look at them, you hear them speak, and you take an immediate liking for them. It has happened to me. Some of my best friends are not my classmates from school. Not some. All of my best friends in life are not people that are classmates from school. My best friends are people I have met in other spheres of life. In other spheres of life. None of them are from the school that I went to. Only one is from the college that I went to, which is Nizam College. Maybe two, not more. All my other friends are people whom I did not study with. I didn't go and do anything with them on a daily basis. These are people I met in other circumstances and they have become my best friends. So there is a predetermined purpose. That's what Brother Brito explained to me as a cosmos. And that is the meaning of a cosmos. You don't have to agree with it, but I'm just giving you the meaning of the cosmos. And it is one verse. So you'll say if it is one verse, then we see so many things around us. So Christianity has an answer even for that. It says that what we believe is a manyness. That is not wrong English. It is scholarly English translated from Latin into English. Multitudo becomes manyness. Okay, so all multitudo or all manyness that we think exists emerges from one source. It all comes, it's like a fountain. You might see 5 or 6 or 15 different arcs of water, but the source of the fountain, the bottom, is one. It is just one. Water is coming out in many different arcs, but ultimately it is coming from one source. And the Christians believe that that is how you have to look at manyness. It comes out of one source and it returns back to that source. Usually you have a tank around a fountain. Water falls into the tank, it goes back down, and again it gets pumped up. So all manyness emerges from a oneness, and this manyness again ultimately returns to that oneness from which it originates. This is the Christian belief. And they believed that that oneness is God. Okay? And God, the meaning I told you in Hebrew, it means no name, no shape. Even the Muslim notion of Allah, no name, no shape. That's what it means. Okay? So the universe has been created by God. So the source of this universe is God. This is creationism. I told you the other day about the Sabbath. I hope you remember. I'm not going to repeat that. Okay? It says God on the first day created this, on the second day created something else. And for 6 days he created the universe. And on the seventh day, he took rest. And that is why Sunday is a holiday. Okay, that's what we said. I hope you remember that. That's called the day of the Sabbath, or the day when they took rest. The Muslims call it Shabbat. Okay. Uh, Having said that, the source of all, the source of the creation of the universe is God, then the Christians believe that as the creator of the universe, God is the sole monarch of the universe and all its constituent things that seem to be many, but which are ultimately part of that one universe. Okay, so God is the true monarch because he has created it. Suppose, for example, you have, when we come to lock, I'll give you this example. You've taken a bit of clay and made a doll out of it. You've created that doll out of clay. So you're the creator of that clay. And Locke says, because you put your energy and creativity into creating that doll is your private property. The clay is not your private property. The doll is your private property because you created it. So similarly, the monarch of the world is God because he created it. And there can be no other monarchy in this world. When you say monarch, one arch is what it means. Okay? Monarch, there is only God. He is the only monarch because there's only one arch. So all power is vested in God. But we're saying God is no name. We are saying God is no shape. So how does God exercise his power? How does God exercise his power? So the Christians believed that the church, the Christian church that is, and the Pope are the representatives of God on earth. And hence, all powers are of God. All the powers that God has are vested with the church and the Pope. Actually, the Pope is anglicization for Papa, P-A-P-A. Okay, even in India, people call their parents, some people say Papa, but a lot of North Indians say Papa. Okay, but it is Papa. The Pope was called Il Papa in Latin, which is the Father, the Father of all fathers. Okay, and Christianity is a patriarchal religion, so it does not acknowledge a mother. It only acknowledges a father. And the Pope is Il Papa, the Father. And the clergy are also called the ministers. They are the ones who aid the Pope in using the powers vested in him by God to create order in society. And that is the word that we still use in most countries. Minister of External Affairs, Minister of Home Affairs. The Americans, on the other hand, have rejected any talk of any religion. So they do not use the word minister, they use the word secretaries. Okay, the ministers there are called secretaries. They are not called ministers, right? So the church and the Pope are vested with this power of creating a social order, retaining that social order, and to aid the Pope in this, you have various ranks. You have the cardinals, you have the archbishops, then you have the bishops. So there is a rank of the clergy. They are also called clerics by some people. Looks like we are back to uh, anyway. Uh, Now that all social institutions and realms of activity are subordinated to the church and Christian religion. This is another one that they believed in. So, what are the consequences of the Christian beliefs system? Okay, now the consequences is that all social systems are subsumed by the church and authority is concentrated only with the church and the clergy, which is the Pope and his people. In the medieval period, when Christianity was dominant, you have the disappearance of the political realm. You do not even find the usage of the term political anywhere. You do not find the usage of the term political anywhere. It's only kingdom of God. That's the only thing. People who we refer to as kings were not called kings. They were called princes, and their territories were called principalities. Like today we have municipalities. In those days they have principalities. And all these principalities were under the control of the Pope and the Church. And the princes had to take the permission of the Pope for doing anything which was a subject of spirituality or temporality, which is the non-spiritual sphere. Temporal is ephemeral, okay? Bound by time. That is what temporal literally means, bound by time. And in this system, there is no distinction between the personal and the public domains of activity. Okay. Now, over a period of time, the church became corrupt due to the excessive use of its powers. Society became enslaved to the church. It became a slave of the church. And emphasis shifted from life on the earth to life after death. And the Christians said this world is ephemeral, meaning short lived. It's not a long living kind of thing. And here, all are equal. People in this world are all equal in the eyes of God. And then you will ask, why are we suffering? Why are some people suffering more than others? The answer given to that was, suffering in this world is a test given to God, given by God to you. If during your suffering you keep your faith in God, then you go to heaven. Otherwise, you go to hell. You will become a sinner and go to hell. And those who keep their faith, they go to heaven, which is the eternal world that lasts forever. So They talked about living a virtuous life. Now, see, when I come to Machiavelli, I'll discuss this term virtuous with you. But keep that in the back of your mind, that when I come to Machiavelli, I will discuss the changing meanings of virtue. The Christians made it living according to the principles enunciated in the Bible. That is what virtuous life is. But it wasn't always that. The excessive power of the church and the punishments that it was giving out to people led to disenchantment with the church. We have discussed this while we were doing Aquinas. The faith versus reason controversy also emerged, again leading to Aquinas. This we have discussed. Okay, and Aquinas failed because people saw him as doing something only token, but ultimately fooling the people. So this led to the emergence of a school of thinkers who called themselves partisans of the imperium. The imperium is what gets translated as state. Okay. Now, the partisans of the imperium did not identify themselves because they were afraid that they will get punished. Remember, I told you the stories of punishment, burning at stake, being tied to horses, 4 different horses. Okay, so the Franciscan friars, Marsilius of Padua and William of Ockham, sided with the partisans of the imperium. They said, we people are spiritual. We are dealing with God. We are dealing with the spiritual domain. We don't want to deal with this everyday affairs of administration. Let that be taken care of by some other authority. So they sided with the partisans of the state. The partisans of the imperium wanted a clear and proper delineation of activities of the sacerdotium. Sacerdotium is the church, the sacred domain, and those of the imperium. They did not want overlaps. Okay, they did not want to have overlaps of authority. There should be clear demarcation. Authority here does not work as authority here, and authority here does not work as authority here. That is what the people of those who supported the sacerdotium separation. Okay, the controversy is nothing but a separation of the imperium from the sacerdotium, which otherwise became the sole domain. They wanted two domains with clear-cut distinctions. Okay, please do not translate that as church-state controversy in English, because at that time church had not emerged. Church emerged only as an institution in the uh, period, which is the modern period. But anyway, for your exams, please write church state. The partisans of the imperium argued that the sacerdotium and imperium were potestates distinctae. Potestates distinctae is Latin. In English, it means two different swords, talwars, right? That people, and you can't put two swords in one scabbard. Scabbard is what you put the sword in. All right, people put it in a scabbard. You can't put two swords in one scabbard. You have to put it in two different scabbards, is the argument that you'll find among the partisans of the imperium. Okay, The partisans of the imperium were not fully successful, but they managed to convince people that the church was wrong. Why were they not successful? I will talk to you tomorrow. But the partisans of this imperium paved the way for the emergence of Niccolo Machiavelli, who achieved what the partisans of the imperium, I have written state because in your exam, please write it as state. Okay. So Machiavelli succeeded where the partisans of the state did not.